All right, y'all. So with recent events, this is a very important topic that we should be discussing. This comes from the teachers subreddit, and the title is Homicidal 7-Year-Old. It can only get better from there. OP says, I have a very disturbed kiddo in my class. I like how she calls it kiddo, like casually. Yeah, I have a really disturbed, potentially homicidal kiddo in my class, I don't know. It's just kind of funny that she words it like that, calling him a kiddo. But anyway, the student has assaulted multiple students and staff, stabbed the principal's daughter with a fork. 7-year-olds up here making real political statements here. And most recently told me he was going to bring his mom's gun to school to shoot me. I wonder what the parents are like at home, I wonder how the parents deal with situations when they're angry. If this kid is so, if this kid, when they're angry at the teacher, is like threatening to bring their gun. Like, where did they get that from? It's either what the parents are watching, or it's from like the parents themselves, or the kid could just be, the kid could just have like a psychopath brain personality disorder. But like, doesn't that require actually going through stuff to, manifest that disorder? Or maybe, they really were kind of like born that way or ended up that way because of like the brain going haywire for like no external reason. I don't know. But anyway, the OP says, shortly after returning to school, when it was determined that the gun threat was a manifestation of his disability. Okay, so at my school, I go to the University of Michigan, and some guy from like Denver, of all places, like just a random city, they called in and threatened to shoot up our school. Well, they didn't call in, sorry. They posted on some random Russian social media, like underground social media, that they were going to bring an AR-15 to our particular school despite them living in Denver, because the Me Too movement has gone too far. And I'm just like, like looking at that threat, I mean, it definitely was scary, but it's also like the motive is so random, like to just drive to this school for this, more broad reason. It's not like they have someone at our school that they hated. They're just like, no, I'm gonna, go shoot up a school because I have a particular political opinion, but it's not really tied to this particular school. I mean, I don't know, like part of me wants to like downplay that claim, because of how like randomly broad the motivation was. But like the point is, I mean, like police went to this guy and like no arrests were made from what we heard. Like they were just like, oh yeah, this guy isn't a threat. We determined he's not a threat. And it's like that, these kind of like situations where people threaten to do something extreme and then the police investigate it and then are like, yeah, they're not really a threat. And then later, some of these people actually end up like shooting up schools or shooting up different places. And it's like, I mean, all these other conversations, like we need to do better the U.S. needs to like do better with mental health. The U.S. needs to, fix its white supremacy problem. All those other conversations are very true. And very necessary to have, but like also it's like I've had to see it firsthand now, we definitely have a situation where like threats aren't taken seriously like they should be, because like we've seen time and time again these threats that are kind of these one-off things in the past, they come back and some of these people actually go with that threat. Maybe not at the same place, maybe not, aimed at the same people, but they do go, and some of these people do go and actually, act on these threats in one way or another. So maybe we should have a better system to actually take these threats more seriously. Just a thought. Like the Buffalo shooter. I mean, I want to say, I'm blanking right now, but I want to say that even he had, warnings that, those classic warnings, threatening, posting some kind of threat previously. And look what happened. He ended up killing 10 mostly black people. It's fucking tragic. And it all could have been prevented if threats were taken more seriously in general. And here in this story, I mean, this 7-year-old, they have access to a gun. Hopefully the parent, has gun safety precautions, but, seeing the personality of the kid, it wouldn't surprise me if, the parent, wasn't too, worried about this kid, or, maybe it's the parent that pushed that, it's a manifestation of their disability, and a lot of people with guns, we've seen many stories tragically where kids get a hold of their parents' guns because they're not stored properly. So these parents could be one of those, this mother who has a gun could be one of those mothers who, improperly stores her gun, and her kid, gets a hold of it and could cause a tragedy. God forbid, but it's a real possibility at this point with, this kid repeatedly showing, extreme violence, intent to cause extreme violence. And, apparently nobody's doing anything about it, It's also just another reason teachers are quitting, because the administration will not take them freaking seriously, even when they have such an extreme case like this. Oh, it's just a manifestation of his disability. Bitch, fuck you! This kid, is clearly, not right in the head. He needs help. He needs compassion. He needs, someone to step in and, work out, what is causing these kind of psychotic thoughts. And, help him, get to a point where he can live a normal life. Dr. Berkeley, who specializes with ADHD, I think he had a story about a kid who was very violent and angry, and probably not this extreme, but I think it turned out that kid had a tumor in a particular part in their brain that was causing, all this anger and whatnot. So it could be a serious issue like that, if it's not psychosis. So, this kid, whatever's going on, really needs to be taken out of school until they can figure out what's going on. And so, they can figure out, so they then able to help this kid so he isn't a threat to himself or fellow students, and he doesn't end up fucking his life up by, killing somebody, obviously taking their life, and, ending up behind bars or in, some kind of home, separated from his parents, if he has some kind of bond with his parents, because he did something, because he wasn't stopped before things got this far. Maybe he won't, continue to escalate his behavior, but in a lot of cases, people do. People who behave like this do end up escalating their behavior at some point, even if it's years from now. They do end up escalating that behavior. So it's not safe to leave this kid just in the classroom. OP says, the kid came up to me. He was going to burn me alive. Oh my gosh, he just more threats. He said he was going to burn the teacher alive. Burn my dog with one eye alive. Wow. Okay. Burn a disabled dog that has one eye. The teacher said, my kids love the pics of my one-eyed dog. And this kid's like, nah, man, I'm gonna fuck that dog up. I'm actually kill him. Wow. And the kids and the teacher says, and finally, the kid threatened to burn my entire family alive. This kid is either watching some real fucked up shit or he needs help. I mean, either way, he needs help. Like, if he's been, reprimanded for this multiple times and he's still doing stuff like this, he obviously doesn't care about social consequences, and that definitely, he needs help. OP says, I have severe PTSD that I was diagnosed with years ago. I am so sorry, OP, that you are dealing with this. OP says, and both my psychiatrist and therapist can see I'm a wreck, but they keep putting him back into this classroom. What a bunch of disrespectful little shits. When they're just like irresponsible little shits because they're not getting this kid the help they need. Like, what the fuck? Why do they keep, putting him? What disability does he have that keeps manifesting? What is this? This feels like such a classic, if God forbid this kid ends up, shooting people, he is gonna, as an adult, he'd be dismissed because he had mental health disorders. Like, all the charges would be dropped and he'd be in, a psych ward instead of, prison because he had a mental health disorder. I'm all for reformative justice, but, let's try to prevent actual violence from happening, so we don't need, justice in this case, for, potential people being killed. Let's prevent that. We can prevent that. We don't need to try. We just need to get this kid out of the classroom. There's no try here. We need to prevent that. And you can. The teachers here can. They're just choosing not to. And okay, they keep putting him in OP's classroom. OP says the kid's mom and advocate blame us and the school for his suspensions. Yeah, this mom's a fucking idiot. Okay, she has a gun that this kid keeps claiming he'll use. He said once, and she's blaming the school. She's probably not right in that head either. Just judging from this post and her not being worried about this kid. They both probably have some kind of psychosis or something going on, and or the mom just doesn't want to deal with whatever psychosis thing is going on with the kid. For whatever reason, that's just neglectful parenting to a whole new level. They say, OP says, what do? I don't feel supported by administration at all. What the fuck is with administration? OP says, this is a kid whose mom has told me before that she's had to hide knives in their house. So she has some level of, precaution, but so it's probably the kid who has some kind of psychosis thing going on, or, a tumor or something that's causing him to be psychotic. I don't know how likely the tumor is, but the kid's psychotic, administration won't do anything. The teacher is the teachers has PTSD, they're very uncomfortable, rightfully so. And this kid is a threat to the students in their class and the principal's daughter, because the kid is potentially, just angry at the whole school and, wants to make some kind of message. Figure out what the heck's going on in that kid's head, physically and emotionally, run scans on him, figure out what's wrong with him. OP says, P.S. 3 police reports have been filed so far, so at least the police are being notified. 1 by me, 2 by other students' parents. So the responsibility is falling on other students' parents to try and, get this kid, you know, under control. What the fuck? Like, none of the right people are involved. Like, are the police not doing anything? Like, holy shit. It's just fucking insane. Like, this situation. Why aren't, you know, why won't the kid, where's the kid's father? Like, since the mother in this case isn't doing anything, what about the kid's father? And like, why is nobody alarmed by any of this? Like, are they just too afraid to like go through, you know, all of this? Why? It's better than this kid, you know, actually acting on what he keeps threatening to do. You know, they keep thinking it's just a threat, he's 7, he can't be harmful. Bitch, no. 7-year-olds can be very harmful if they have the intent, okay? Like, don't, you know, like most 7-year-olds, 99.9% 7-year-olds are perfectly fine. You know, their kids are kids and whatnot. Like, the worst they'll do, and this is not okay, is like they'll verbally bully and, you know, fight, and that's not okay. But like, this kid is on a whole nother level, and it's not phasing any of the people who should be very disturbed and doing something about it. Like, the teacher's the only one who's giving a shit, and major props to this teacher who's going through so much already. This teacher's the only one giving a shit, and like the other students' parents, and yet nothing concrete is being done. Like, you know, I hate to say it, but OP should probably quit and go find another job, because they're not being protected. Like, those students should be removed from the class, because from that school, because they're not being protected, you know? Like, everyone who's worried should probably remove themselves as a form of like protest or boycott, to get the school to act on this kid, to like do something about the situation. Like, the principal's daughter was freaking threatened, and the principal isn't doing anything. Like, what the fuck is going on? Let's see what commenters are saying. One says contact the police. Like, the police have done anything so far. They say it doesn't matter the age, right? Also, be incredibly insistent on this kid's removal or suspension, right? They say, I honestly don't care if the student has possibly issues. As soon as they threaten, they can get the hell out of there. Your safety comes first, right? Somebody else says, this is a clear cry for help. Possibly, you know, the kid could be going through a lot of shit at home. Like, we don't know anything about the dad. The dad could be very abusive, or the dad could be just like too afraid to do anything, and the mom could be abusive, or just like encouraging this kid's anger, and, you know, a whole bunch of situations could be going on at home that this could be a cry for help for, like a form of cry for help for. I can see that. They say, and this behavior goes far beyond anything an IEP can address. Yeah, like no behavioral plan is gonna, no cognitive behavioral plan is gonna help with this situation. They say, call social services. That actually is better than the police. Well, a combination of social services and the police would be good. And report this. This kid's a ticking time bomb. Yeah. They said you should also you should also look into getting a leave of absence if the situation is affecting your PTSD. OP's mental health comes first, especially when they're dealing with PTSD. So definitely a leave of absence would be well deserved. Or, you know, if OP wants to teach a different class, or, you know, try to like teach somewhere not at that school, so they're not having to even potentially cross paths with this kid, you know, move away, or just teach at a different school, like a middle school or whatever. Probably good option. Hopefully the kid, you know, doesn't make it to middle school without getting this behavioral stuff fixed. This scary shit. I really hope this kid gets whatever problem fixed as soon as possible. Last comment says, were you diagnosed with PTSD by a doctor? Could you have that doctor write you a note to be out on under FMLA for the rest of the year? that'd be a great, thing for the teacher. Well deserved. Like, I really hope OP can get the help that they need, and I hope that this kid gets the help that they need so they're not a threat to anybody else. Anyway, that's all I have to do. That's all I have to say today. I feel like I yell more, but I'm not sure how much this mic can take of yelling. So, yeah, like, what do you think about the situation? What do you think the best thing is to be done? What has been the craziest kid that you had in your school growing up, or as a teacher, who's been the craziest kid you've witnessed? Anything and anything, comments, suggestions for content, or how I can improve the videos or presentation of these videos, comment down below. Let me know. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully we get better, awareness and willingness to fix mental health issues and, crack down on them before they become like issues that impact more than somebody's mental health, which, mental health impact, like somebody's mental health being bad is bad enough. But yeah, like and subscribe if you like this. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope we could get this problem solved. I really hope we could start a broader discussion, because we can't keep having these types of, major violent outbreaks. We can solve this. Like, this is an example of, a very early on problem that we can, a very early on, child who's going down the wrong path, and we can steer him in the right direction if the administration would get their head out of their ass and do something about it. If the police and the social workers, if the police got their heads out their asses and responded to these reports, so they didn't turn into like violence down, years later, if the social workers can be called and get involved, we could avoid this in the future. So, any and all thoughts, comment down below, like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. I'm out.